Hey, this is Tom Jacobs from lowqualityvideoproduction.net. Actually, I'm on the web at tdjacobs.com and also healingsuicide.com. Maybe that's going to be a little better. Sorry. Um, and I'm an evolutionary astrologer and also an energy worker and a channel. And I do all kinds of things to try to help you understand what the hell you're doing here and how to make it better. So individual consultations, I do tutoring, I have astrology courses, all kinds of channeled energy work, audio things to help you change your vibration and raise your vibration. And one of the things that I love doing, one of the several things that are my favorites of what I've been fortunate enough to figure out how to do, is to take you deep into um, what you're vibrating unconsciously and help you gain conscious awareness of it and then change your vibration. So this video introduces really briefly the teaching that I have that's called Energy is Money is Energy. And I'm putting your attention on the fact that in about a month, on May 16th, starts a webinar for 7 Saturdays where, 10 to 12 people are going to do a 2-hour webinar each Saturday with me. And I'll put a link in the video description to the you can read all about this. And basically what we're going to do is I'm going to teach in week 1 this approach, this channeled teaching about energy and money and energy, like energy is money is energy. And then we're going to run through 6 weeks of focused work on channeled affirmations that will reveal to you your crummy beliefs about money. That's the goal. So I did this as like a 2-week class where people would do a 2-hour class with me. Well, it was a 4-hour class over 2 weeks, right? And I did that to make it more affordable, but it always turned, and I did that starting in, I guess, 2011 or 2012. I did it for several years. I taught maybe 10 or 12 instances of it. And I love doing it, but it turns out that it's not enough time. So recently in Penticton, British Columbia, I did a 2.5-day version, and that was great, but it was all at once. So in this 7-week process, you're going to have time at home to journal and study and allow things to percolate and bubble. So I still in the future will do that 2.5-day workshop where there's like a Friday night introduction, and then all day Saturday and all day Sunday, we go through the channeled affirmations and essentially push your buttons and find and pull to the surface gently parts of you that have crappy beliefs about emotions and self-worth that result in money issues. So anyway, I will do those when I'm traveling again after our time of coronavirus. But so in this 7-week webinar, it's going to be this measured process where every week you're at home journaling affirmations I assign to you after I kind of teach you how to do the affirmations, what they mean, how it affects your unconscious. And so the 2 basic portions of the teaching, it always comes in 2 phases. The first one is transforming debt. And one of the secrets is, if I think I owe someone something, or if I think someone owes me something, I can create debt in my life regarding money. What I'm talking about is, if I perceive I didn't love you enough, if I perceive I wasn't responsible enough toward you, like energy, consciousness, our emotional attachments together, our karmic attachments throughout many lifetimes. If I believe you owe me something, I might in 2020 create actual monetary debt, financial debt. And if I think you owe me, same thing. The energy of debt can create debt. So essentially in module 1, transforming debt, we look at everything you judge yourself for and everything you judge others for. Okay. Module 2, because that creates blocks to flow. When I say energy is money is energy, I'm pointing at physical money and money issues in our lives as reflective of, indicative of, reflective of money flow. It's too simplistic to say, but I'm going to say it and then expand on it. It's too simplistic to say, get into a loving groove and money will flow better. Just forgive this. Forgive yourself for that. Let go of that. That's too simplistic, but it's the right idea. We have to listen with respect and with compassion to the parts of you that carry charged emotional content. Like if I say to you, Just forgive what your dad did to you when you were a kid. Just forgive it, and your money thing will turn around. Part of you might say, well, I want my money thing to turn around. Well, I think forgiveness is good. But then if you don't honor the unhappiness and anger of the part of you that was hurt, that still carries that pain, you can't forgive. So this process I'm teaching is a way of getting in there to honor, to listen to the parts of you and what they believe it means that you were hurt. Because that belief messes with your love flow, which messes with your money energy flow, which manifests as money flow. So it's not as simple as saying just let it go, but some people will try to tell you that. I'm a Scorpio and I have Pluto conjunct Venus. So when my Scorpio sun actually is in the second house, the house of money and energy and values, how I use my time and energy, how I prioritize my time, right? And then Venus itself is conjunct Pluto. So to say to me, just let it go, just forgive it. I've had people tell me, meditate that out, just forgive. They mean well, but it's not a transformative process, and that's what scorpionic energy kind of needs. So anyway, so I do this with myself, and then I've turned it into doing it with a bunch of other people. Okay, so as some of you seeing this might say, no, I can just meditate and forgive. Like, that's awesome. That's fine. Then I might not be the right, the right practitioner for you. So we have to get to forgiveness, but through honoring what parts of us feel, even those are disempowered feelings that we don't want to have to feel. So facing shadows with compassion. High level scorpionic work. Okay. Module 2 is opening to receive. What is it that you have received energetically and emotionally that isn't for you, or was meant for somebody else, or that you didn't want, or you didn't need, or harmed you? Like, the one example that I use is, let's say that you have had a rocky relationship with one of your parents. And for some large portion of your life, if you hang out with people who know your parents, somebody might say to you, oh, you look just like your mom. Oh, you're just like her. Look, well, the energy they're giving you is, oh, we see where you're coming from. You're part of our community. We know your mom. We know you. You're part of us. What you hear is, stop it. Like, that's what you feel is, stop dishonoring me. I don't get along with her, or she doesn't love me or protect me, or I have a terrible relationship with her, or I have this judgment of her. So what have you received that you don't want or can't use or is harmful? And that includes also abusive energy, criticism. Both of these modules span quite a lot of time, which is why during the course we're going to spend 3 weeks, 6 hours roughly, on getting into the depths of each module through these various affirmations that I'll bring to class. But the point is, when you understand what you perceive you owe and what you perceive others owe you, and when you understand and can forgive things and let things go in a generous way that doesn't dishonor what you feel and doesn't disrespect parts of you who have developed these identities, right? When you do that, and then you look at why you don't want to receive other things, those are the two sides of money issues. When you do that, you flow better with love, but not in an airy-fairy, puppies, rainbows, flowers, head in the clouds, Pollyannish kind of way. You understand more how to operate your energy and consciousness, and therefore life, in a loving way. Like, if I can forgive this thing my dad did, not begrudgingly, be resigned to some image that I don't have the right to be upset about it, so okay, I forgive it. But I truly say, aha, that functioned, and this is kind of what we do in the workshop, in the webinar. Everything I do takes us to this level, the bird's eye view. Why would a soul co-create that experience? What is the soul level contract with my dad that happened that affected me so much? So I'm in essence creating 2 levels of interpretation. One is the fact, what actually happened and how it affected me, how it felt, how it may still affect me now. And level 2, the bird's eye view, why the hell would this happen to me? What could that possibly serve in terms of a learning journey for a soul as a human? What is that soul trying to teach me? What is my soul trying to get me to learn? And it's a way of putting your attention on this idea that we don't, again, to repeat myself, we don't deny what you experienced, but we make sure that you have two levels of interpretation running. So when the disempowered feelings come up that create blocks and shielding and guilt and shame and judgment, we can bring a loving perspective. And the reason my dad did this shitty thing 1,000 times was because my soul asked him so I could learn blah, blah, blah. And that's what we get into in the workshop. So the Energy is Money is Energy webinar does involve me. We're using channeled affirmations to unlock things. And then during the actual webinars, I'm channeling your spirit guides using your astrology birth chart in front of me, and everyone will have access to the other 10 people's charts. And so you'll learn about how I do this astrologically too, if you're into that. But you don't have to have an astrology background. It's really about you. It's not an astrology class. It's really about you and your heart and your healing and empowered self-validation. Again, not Pollyanna-ish, but actual empowerment. So I will be bringing through your guides. I will have the Ascended Master Wi-Fi connected to my head all the time. That's like my normal state. And I will use your astrology charts. But the focus is, how can I support you in growing beyond blocks to your human, emotional, psycho-spiritual development that have been manifesting as money issues? In my head, there are too many examples to name of how I've done this with people over the years. I'm trying to think if it's fruitful if I give you an example. I'll give you an example. It's something that I used to share sometimes in the class. So when I sold the intro MP3, the Energy EME, or Energy is Money is Energy intro MP3, I included this in there. And it's something that has been hard for me. It's just an example of something that is a tender thing, but I've grown beyond it through with these teachings. So before my father passed away, and I had a rocky relationship with him, and I got told all the time, don't you want to grow up to be just like him? In my head, I was like, fuck no. So there's a setup for the Energy is Money is Energy problem for money issues, right? Because what he was giving me and what others were giving me, I didn't want. I didn't want to turn out like him. I didn't want to act like him. I didn't want to look like him. When my sister sees these videos, and while I physically look different than him, I have these physical mannerisms, the way I move my head and it's just like him, and she freaks out. And sometimes I do if I watch my videos. But you know, part of me didn't want to be like him, right? So the last few years of his life, he lost several loved ones, and money came to him through inheritance. But it came with all this pain because his sister had passed away, but that wasn't one of the people. I don't remember the order of his father and then his wife's mother. I don't remember which order, but they died within, I think, a year of each other, perhaps 2 years. And then that wife, his wife passed away. Not my mother, but his a later wife. And so he had never had a lot of money, but he had some money, and I don't know how much it was. But when he passed away, he didn't leave it to me and my sister. He left a little bit to each of us, and he left the majority of it to his then wife. He had married another woman, but she had a terminal illness. So he was dying, and she had a terminal illness. He left all the money to her, and she left it to her brother, who was an adult who couldn't kind of take care of himself. And everybody knew it, and they tried to help him and take care of him. And so basically my dad left all that money. I don't know how much it was again, knowing it wouldn't go to us. So my sister and I were crushed. I should speak for myself. I was crushed. I was doing this work. I was struggling financially, meaning I was doing the work but not succeeding yet because I was dealing with a bunch of emotional crap about him and his death. So after he died and he found out what I'm on earth to do in his like spirit school, like his orientation, he came back to me and apologized. He said, I'm sorry I wasn't supportive. I'm going to make it up to you about the money thing. And I was so angry and defensive, I was like, expletive you, get the expletive out of my expletive space. So there's that thing about, I just want to tell this story. It's not really like for my therapy, but I want you to understand how we can transform these issues or have a sense of even really difficult things can be transformed and healed and balanced and released. Even the most difficult things, like a rocky relationship with a father who never validates you and doesn't pay attention to you, but you're like screaming out for attention, which was me. Um, so what I learned, I mean, I learned a million things from this, but what I learned in that moment was that money, I thought, well, I'm having survival issues because it's not really good for me to work for other people, but my own business, it's not off the ground. This was in 2007 when he passed away. So I was in LA and I've been seeing clients for about almost 3 years. And so it was kind of a young venture. Now it's like, whatever, almost 16 years and it's, well, the business is established. So I'm not worried about, future business unless I do something horrible. I don't know. Tell my story in a video and everyone's like, man, that guy's crazy. Um, which you're free to do because you have free will. Um, the energy of his indifference toward me would have been attached to that money if it were given to me as an inheritance. I needed his direct presence and love. I needed him to look me in the eye, right? I needed him to be there for me as a loved one, as a family member, as a mentor, as a man, as a father. Well, he couldn't do that. So that money would have perpetuated my empty feeling of how he didn't love me. Okay. So looking at the energetics of it, what I didn't receive was more of the same thing that hurt me. What I received was the kind of kick in the pants. You have to validate yourself. You can't hang on for your family member to do it for you. So it's kind of a tough love thing, but the energetics behind it are everything. So my soul asked my dad not to be able to see me because I needed to self-validate. That's part of our contract together. So part of it is this inheritance thing. Is it true that he didn't love me because he couldn't hear me or take an interest in anything that I thought was interesting because he couldn't really listen to me? Does that mean he didn't love me? No, that's just what I interpreted it to mean. So my belief was that I wasn't loved. So this is the point of all this. When I got to the place where I said, his indifference is a form of his soul nudging me into self-love, therefore it's support. And his not leaving that money to me and my sister was a form of support because it helped me end this thing, this perception that I wasn't loved by him. His soul took all this time out of its busy schedule to have me as a child. His soul loves my soul. And my path of self-validation includes not having some father guide me every step of the way. That's part of my soul's journey for various reasons I won't go into here. So anyway, this is the kind of depth we get into. The most difficult life experience is how can you transform your belief about why it happened? So energy is money is energy webinar, right? But it's this. How can you take the most important wounds? How can you take the deepest sense of not being loved and supported? How can you take that and transform your perception to change how it works? So what I received from him was a lot of this. I would talk and try to connect and I would get, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. He was like a really smart guy who couldn't be present because of his own emotional stuff and his own guarded heart. I think he didn't know how to deal with grief. And I was born vibrating, I'm grieving. Like in my heart, he's super sensitive and I was super sensitive. And so he couldn't be present with me for his own reasons. But everything that he did around me turns out to be supportive because of my unique path. And that's not blowing smoke up my own ass. That's level 2 interpretation. Level 1, what happened? Yeah, parts of me were bitter and angry and, streams of expletives and shaking my fist at God and all this stuff that I had to have this kind of a shitty father, blah, 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 blah. Because of course I knew people who had supportive fathers and I was always feeling like, something was wrong with me or the universe hated me or something, right? So I had to transform that. So this kind of deep thing, it's an existential thing. Do I deserve love? If you think about the 2 modules, transforming debt, do I think I owe you something? Well, maybe it's inadvertent, but maybe I've hurt you in a way that I judge maybe I think I can't ever really deserve love, right? Then we bring in the soul's point of view. Why would this be co-created? And you as a human can transform to that higher level and get rid of the block. That's really the point of this energy is money is energy teaching. 7 weeks, 7 Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific, or maybe it's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Geez, you know what? Sorry, let me look. Uh, my dad would also do that. 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time, starting May 16th, 7 Saturdays. So basically May 16th, 23rd, 30, and then 4 Saturdays in June, 6, 13, 20, 27. I think at this time, 5 spots, 6 spots are open as of April 17th. We have just under a month till we start. It will fill up. I know for a fact it will fill up, because there are lots of people wanting to earn a living in an authentic way and needing to get to the bottom of these and get behind these blocks and really move through them. This is part of also Saturn entering Aquarius square Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus started, I think, almost 2 years ago, and it dipped in there and then dipped back to Aries, and now it's in Taurus again. Now Saturn hit Aquarius recently, and it's going to station on May 11th, and it's going to be in square, though not perfected yet, to Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus and Taurus says, free yourself by upgrading your value system. Saturn Aquarius says, what you're doing may not make you feel free. So they're square, they're in tension with each other. So to get to the bottom of these things that keep you not free to live according to your values, or to use or earn money in the ways that make sense to you energetically and spiritually, it's a really important time. So when this fills up, I'll have a wait list, and then I'll be scheduling during that course. I'll be scheduling the next one to start a couple months later or something. So anyway, don't be discouraged if you go to my site and it says this one's full, because I'll have you email me or something to put your name on the wait list for the next time. So check that out at tdjacobs.com. It's linked from the homepage. And thanks for your time and energy. And I look forward to helping you, get over some crummy beliefs that keep you limited, as if you're not worth love, as if you're not worth creative expression, as if you're not worth the dynamic vision and passion that you want to bring to the world. Take care.